So here we have it. Here we go. The combatants are set. Quick on the left, SAKUFENCE on the right. SAKUFENCE starting up that 6-3 immediately, really quickly. And they're going for full pacing, no T-spins. Unfortunately, they misdrop, but they're still in a decent board state nonetheless. Quick's just trying to stay low, be ready for anything at the moment. You have a really nice board state to just continue good efficiency. SAKUFENCE, meanwhile, just counting to 4. Has that T-spin over it. And a very nice donation there from Saku. Quick's gonna have a micro combo just to keep their well open. Closes it for a donation, but unfortunately the Q just didn't agree with their decision. And SAKUFENCE, despite being in like the most cursed board states possible, is still finding so much efficiency. It's impressive. Like the shenanigans you see SAKUFENCE pull, it's so cool. But both players zoning. And Quick's gonna find this final T-spin and get the ulti with that O-solve. That's gonna send 55 over. Receiving 1. But the post-pressure ends up giving SAKUFENCE 1. Crazy how that works. Very nice tank from Quick there. And that is going to be a zoneless transition from SAKUFENCE, which makes sense because they didn't really have enough meter to capitalize on any insane transition plays there. But oh my goodness, SAKUFENCE has so much material to work with. Very scary situation if you're Quick. And both players are going to be at max meter. Quick's going to be zoning from the bottom. SAKUFENCE trying to pile up some post-pressure, some pre-pressure before they start theirs. They're not going to risk the Simul. But oh my goodness, that is so much T dependency in their stack. That is going to punish them by capping their lines, but that's still going to be really efficient. Gonna send 48 over to Quick, who's currently in a 6-3 but has no meter. Finds the quarter. Gonna go as low as they possibly can. Gonna choose to tank again. Very interesting decision. But we do see the vision. Trying to mitigate as much as possible, and that is just the best way to do so. They do not have another stall placement. Don't recognize that. In SAKUFENCE with the side ties at the ready. Doesn't even need it. At an impressive almost 140 DPM. Takes the first round. And, oh my, that opener from Saku? Is that Gasho? I believe that's what that's called. If it's not, show me in chat, please correct me. But it's not a common opener, and it's always amazing when you see it. But Saku is dealing with misdrops, unfortunately not able to count to 4. I think Quick was debating on TST towering there, but knows better than to risk that against somebody who can go 140 DPM. SAKUFENCE trying to get their well access. Ooh, they were trying to go for a donation, but ended up misdropping on the wrong side of what they were going for. And Quick's trying to get lower. Quick's just looking for well access. They don't even try and look for the stall placement. They just know their decision. Go all the way to the bottom and tank. Very nicely done. And Quick trying to get that S piece over, but it's not real. But all that means is that they get to tank more. That's a lot of material for them to use. It's just going to be a matter of accessing it. But SAKUFENCE is at the complete bottom, re-entering 6-3. At 140 DPM 6-3 is very scary if you're Quick. But Quick definitely has the efficiency to back it up. And Quick is going to enter some ST-like donations there. And this zone is going to transition from SAKUFENCE. Quick's going to be zoning from the bottom, but they do get the time from phase 2. So they're not going to get max lines, but they're going for pure efficiency here. quite the gambit. And efficiency they do get. Even still, that's all the way up to Perfectress at 19 lines, sending 61 over. And SAKUFENCE is not in a good position to tank that, so they're going to be forced to burn all of their meter. They want to STSD here, they get it, they get the first T-spin. But they're not allowed to get the second. Well is almost open, but they don't have any more stall placements, they don't take the skims that they need. And Quick expertly weaves their way into a round win. And now we're tied. Gotta see the mutual 6-3 from the players. Quick chooses not to tank. They don't want to get cooked by RNG here. Makes sense. They do get a well swap, but the wells aren't bad. SAKUFENCE has to deal with misdrops, which gives Quick an amazing opportunity. Saku's zone is forced. They're going to choose not to quick end it. They're going for max lines, but no IRS, so they're not able to take that Tetris. Probably still better off for them, as they're going to have time to get meter in phase 1. And Quick is just forecasting so many T-spins here. But, whoa, what a way to get out of there. Ends up TSSing a count to 4 donation over the well. And that's going to be a very efficient zone, 56 and 18. SAKUFENCE does not have max zone, but they do see the zone chunks. So if their zone's good enough, they might still be able to send to Quick anyway. Going for max lines, they have high potential, but they're just going to decide to quick end it, not giving QUICKANDSMART any time. And Quick has some material in column 7, and they get more material in column 7. But they're going to have to access it first. They're going to make the good play of fixing their board state before taking advantage of the well, but unfortunately that misdrop is going to make that plan backfire. And now what could have been insane advantage for Quick is now super advantage for Saku. But Quick has a lot of material to possibly mitigate. Saku ends up misdropping, so that's going to be a hit to their efficiency. But if they get good lines, it could still be fine. Saku gets 18 lines, sending 40 over, and Quick's just not allowed to tank that under any circumstances. And SAKUFENCE is going to take that second point. Six 6-3 from both players. They know the strat. They know it's optimal. But SAKUFENCE is going to misdrop. And SAKUFENCE is going to be forced into 8-1 stacking. But I feel like if anybody knows how to deal with 8-1 stacking, it's got to be SAKUFENCE. Quick just keeping their well open, not taking any chances. They are going to start this zone at a really good time. Unfortunately, they're going to be forced to waste T, and unfortunately, they misdrop the already unfortunate T. Oh my, this is a play. But that is impossible IHS, so their zone is going to get cut short. Only going to send 38. SAKUFENCE has quite the opportunity here at their disposal. If they get max lines, it could be huge. They might not even need it. But that's still going to be 55. Not getting the ulti due to lack of IRS, but that's still a lot of damage onto Quick's board. But even though that's a lot of damage, that's still a lot of clean that Quick can use to counteract here. Despite Saku having the score advantage, Quick seems to have the transitional advantage at the moment. Just due to having more zone meter, and they're going to go ahead and exercise that the second they hit 40k. If they transition, this could be really good for them. And wow, that's extremely greedy from Quick. So their zone's going to be capped at 40 damage, but that's still a lot of damage. SAKUFENCE almost misdrops their J piece there. Well, they end up being fine. And that's going to be an extremely efficient 12 lines, sending over 34 damage. But it's going to neutralize pretty evenly. And Quick's trying to find efficiency, but they're taking a lot of time that SAKUFENCE is using to make it down lower in their board. Quick's just keeping efficiency here. Keeping efficiency in their down stack. Even gonna do the Z-prop donation. SAKUFENCE misdrops again, but that's just a perfect count to 4 anyway. And the fact that they can just immediately waste both eyes without any hesitation is so insane. Like, even Quick, you see some players, like Quick, hesitate on moments when they have to, like, waste both eyes. But SAKUFENCE just knows better. They are hitting the chest. But Quick has a really efficient zone here, ending with a micro combo. Finds that Deca Hexa, and that's 50 damage! That's an extremely efficient zone! And it's definitely not looking good for SAKUFENCE. Oh, they had a lot of efficiency there, especially with that Z placement. But unfortunately, they ended up misdropping it. But they find another T-spin afterwards anyway, and that's still gonna outzone and persist to Quick's board. SAKUFENCE is going to be in this 2-7 stack. They're going to choose to take this TST. Sadly for them, they're not able to do the S-spin that fixes their board. But that 6 combo is going to do really nicely, and they're at the bottom of their board. Almost completely man-made. So SAKUFENCE is going to be an advantage despite QUICKANDSMART having more zone meter. But that's a really nice initial combo from Quick. So this is going to be another really efficient zone from them. Going for max lines. Finds 46. Once again, very efficient. SAKUFENCE has a lot to deal with. And those places at the end are going to have to be more for them to deal with. They're going to forego that T-spin in favor of just having a better board state. Definitely a good decision, but those misdrops are going to immediately remove the benefit of it. And SAKUFENCE is going to choose to partial zone. We're going to see the 3/4 come out. But in that, they're just going to be able to downstack through all of their cheese for free. Max lines, 30 damage. And now Quick's going to be the one in a precarious spot even when they have max meter. Because SAKUFENCE just has so much more potential at the moment. But that's a really nice downstack coming out from Quick, all the way down to 10 combo. And now Quick's situation has drastically improved. They're going to use this max meter, and they're going to use it well. Going to find 2 T-spins here, which is going to make their already good zone even more efficient. Going for max lines, gets all the way up to 19, 43. 43 is very tough to deal with in phase 3. Saku has to worry about their misdrops as well, so their zone's going to take a hit to their efficiency. Well, they still make it to Deca Hexa. And they're going to completely mitigate with 35. Oh, both players are in a completely man-made position right now. Very rare to see that in phase 3. Nobody at a clear advantage. QUICKANDSMART at least has more zone meter. QUICKANDSMART's going to be the first to tank. But it was not on their terms, so it's not looking good. Quick knows what they want to do. They get the S piece, but the rest of the queue isn't agreeing with them. And Quick's going to be forced to take a lot of skims in this zone. But that's still going to be 14 attack from those 7 lines. And SAKUFENCE had a really good opportunity, a really good board state to potentially kill Quick here. But those misdrops are going to force that entire zone to be skims. And QUICKANDSMART with this 6 combo is able to mitigate just about everything they were going to receive. But even still, that follow-up is terrifying. The O-piece misdrop from Quick isn't looking good. This could be the end of the line. Quick tries to take a T-spin, but they don't IRS on that T-piece. And despite exiting zone there, they didn't clear enough lines to survive, and that's just going to be a top-out. And that's another point to SAKUFENCE. Quick's gonna choose to 6-3. SAKUFENCE 6-3ing delayed. Very nice count to 4. And both players are going to be forcing a fossil fuel stacking, but SAKUFENCE does, fortunately, get the well swap. And Quick's going to remain in fossil fuel stacking. Quick's just trying to open their well. That's what happens. They have a micro combo to mitigate enough to guarantee survival. But now they are extremely eye dependent. Very serious situation to be in. Luckily for them, SAKUFENCE did not have a double send at the moment. And wow, that's an insane donation, but they know it's just not worth going for. An eye flat skim. Very nicely spotted. You'll see a lot of players fall into the trap in that situation where they need to get down, so they're just going to use all their eyepieces vertically and hope for the best, but Quick recognizes when that's not the best play. And despite those misdrops, they still managed to make it to 18 lines, sending 41 over. But Saku also has a very promising zone, and that's going to be 58 being sent over to Quick, who now has their zone forced. What has the Q of a lifetime? Able to mitigate and persist over to SAKUFENCE. And QUICKANDSMART with a completely clean board state yoinks advantage straight up. They're gonna be in that 6-3 for a little while. And Saku's gonna have to find a way to deal with this pressure. Quick is going to overstack over top of their well. This is a good idea, we're about to find out, but those misdrops make it look not too good. Quick's in a very scary spot. The zone is forced. They find a good T-spin. But SAKUFENCE is a lot lower on the board. A lot more damage potential in this zone. Quick sends 27 in an Octorus. But SAKUFENCE is going to eclipse the Octorus and just be more efficient. All the way up to 51 and 17. Very efficient. And SAKUFENCE is now at match point. QUICKANDSMART needs to somehow disable the momentum that SAKUFENCE has right now. It's a tough order. SAKUFENCE trying to count to 4 right now. Realizes it's not in their best interest. They just need to get down. And oh my goodness, that is an insane TSD from Quick there. We love when the incomplete TST is optimal. And SAKUFENCE in a pretty scary spot. With that micro combo, they guarantee survival and reopen their well. SAKUFENCE is actually in a really prime spot to zone here if they choose to. Not anymore after that tank, so they're just going to go ahead and prioritize going down above all else. And ooh, that S-piece isn't looking good for them, but QUICKANDSMART is in the zone, so that's going to give them time to escape and open up their well. Quick has a lot of options with this zone. And oh! Oh, they're trying to do a thing, but this is a direction swap! They hit it! Quick very impressively gets the direction swap ulti solve. Very masterful use of IRS there. And they're going to send a lot to SAKUFENCE, but SAKUFENCE just has a lot of clean on their board as a result. So that plan might have backfired despite it being super cool. And being optimal in most scenarios. It's just that one outcome. However, Quick is still in a good spot. They're dictating transition. They're in a really clean board state. If they're able to tank a little bit, they'll have very nice board state into phase 3. Or they're just going to go ahead and rip it while they have a good board state and stay completely man-made. Sticks combo comes out from SAKUFENCE, pretty threatening. But QUICKANDSMART does not care. And they're going to zone at a really good time. And they're going to keep efficiency above all else. Because they already know that with this board state, they can get max lines. All the way up to 16. That's 47 and 16. These players slinging haymakers at each other with these zones. And SAKUFENCE now going to be on the back foot. They have to be the one to respond. And they do get that final Tetris in zone. So they only receive 1 damage as opposed to like 9. Very important threshold to break there. But once again, both players are looking really clean. They really don't like to tank, they just want to go down. But Quick has a very awkward board state, awkward misdrops. Has the J-Tuck, but they're going to be forced to tank. They don't like to tank. And SAKUFENCE is completely clean. They're in a 6-3. Not completely clean anymore. They do have this count to 4. And SAKUFENCE builds up this TSD. Once again, no hesitation. SAKUFENCE is definitely what a lot of players aspire to be, with the ability to just go with any decision and no doubts. And these misdrops from Quick aren't looking good. Yeah, they just top out. There's literally no way out of that one. You hate to see it. SAKUFENCE is going to take that set. Very well played by both players, but like QUICKANDSMART having to overcome a like 30 DPS